Hey, what's up YouTube? In this video, I'll be showing you how to make a witch's house. Let's get started. This is the amount of space required to make your witch lair. Do feel free to make this grid in your world if you do feel as though it will help you out, whether you're building this underground, overground, or inside a pre-existing build. And here are all of the materials that we will need throughout the entire build. Please do make sure that you have access to all of these. Begin by placing a row of 9 dark oak planks in a row on the floor. We then want to extend that 9th block backwards by 9. Then extend across and join back to where we first started. This will form a rectangular shape. We now want to extend every dark oak plank upwards by 4 rows. This will give us 5 rows in total. We then want to dig out the entire inside of the floor and replace it with spruce planks. We are now going to connect the top layer of dark oak planks together to form the ceiling. All we have to do is break into the build, and now we can begin. The first thing that I want to make inside of the build is a cauldron. The location of the cauldron is really easy. Come to the back left hand corner of the build and locate the floor block in the corner. Move inwards diagonally 1, 2, 3 times. This is the position of the cauldron. We're going to destroy this block, place a campfire in the ground. In front of this, destroy this block, and then place a slab. This is so that we actually get to enjoy the campfire. Then above the campfire, we want to place a respawn anchor. Charge it up. Perfect. Then surround it using spruce trapdoors. This will give us a nice bubbling cauldron effect, like so. And we also, of course, get the flames. Now, directly above the cauldron in the ceiling, I want to place a shroom light. This might take a couple of attempts. Around the shroom light, I want you to dig out the dark oak planks and replace them using spruce slabs. That will give us a cool depth effect like this, and it kind of helps to center the room. Oh, if you're into insanely minute details that don't really matter, underneath the campfire you can place a hay bale. This barely makes any difference whatsoever, but at specific angles you may be able to see the hay poking through, especially if you drop the slab down a little bit. Honestly, you've got to be a little bit crazy like me to care about this. You can choose to enhance the cauldron by placing an end rod on top of it. This kind of looks like a spoon. To build upon this, we can also add witches surrounding the cauldron as well. Spooky skeletal witches. Throw down a crafting table, open it up and place a leather tunic in there with black dye. Grab the tunic, place leather pants in there, grab those, add them to the inventory. So, surrounding the cauldron, on the left, the right, and the back sides, we just want to place armor stands. Then outfit the armor stands with skeleton skulls, black leather tunics, black leather pants, and also netherite boots. And then we have 3 creepy skeletal witches, one of which seems to be looking at me. I created. Next up, we have some alcoves to make. The first of which is in the back right corner of our room. I want you to destroy 2 rows in the back right corner of the room from the floor to the ceiling. Behind the space that we have just destroyed, we are going to place spruce planks, and also in the floor. Barrels placed upwards on the floor like this, and flower pots on top of the barrels. Item frames behind them, and then on the wall, I want you to place spruce trapdoors in such a way that we can use them as a shelf, and we'll place another flower pot and right of it a jack-o'-lantern, like this. We also want to create some shelf space in front of this and to the left by placing 3 barrels, like this, in front of the dark oak planks, and then we want to once again create a little shelf. This time, we want to place it directly above the barrels. We just want a 2 wide shelf like this, and we're going to place item frames on top of these barrels underneath the shelf, and then it's kind of up to you what you want to place on the shelf. We can place more flower pots, or you can use item frames, or you could even place item frames and flower pots on the shelf like this. You can use a little mix match of material. On the right side of the hut or lair, we want to destroy directly in line with the cauldron, but to the right, we want to destroy a row from the floor to the ceiling. Then destroy another row extending towards the front of the build like this. And we are going to add spruce planks just directly behind this, similar to what we did earlier. Then place barrels at the base of the alcove that we've just made. We're then going to place flower pots on top, item frames behind, once again make a shelf, just leaving an entire row above, and on top of that shelf we'll place more flower pots, and if you like we can even chuck some item frames behind them as well. Oh, I also want to place a brewing stand on top of this exposed barrel in the back middle part of the lair. So the next part of this is quite simply us filling in all of the item frames and the flower parts. This alcove to the right we are just going to use as kind of a mushroom storage, so every single type of mushroom in these flower parts. Along this back wall here, I'm thinking that we have crimson roots, warped roots, and then we have two more flower pots, so maybe a wither rose and a dead bush. And last but not least, all of the item frames. I like the idea of these item frames along the back being used for kind of like materials that potions would be made using. So now, does that sentence even make sense? That doesn't even sound close to being grammatically correct. So I'm thinking gas tears, fermented spider eye, magma cream, blaze powder, and last but not least, some phantom membrane. I think that that makes a nice little selection of potion materials. And then for all of the other item frames, I think that if we just fill them in with different colourful potions, if you want to perhaps be a little bit more variety focused than me, do feel free to swap them out for something else, but I think that that's a nice little collection. So next up, we have to make a little cage area. In the back left hand corner of the room, we are once again going to destroy two rows floor to ceiling like this. We then, in the ground, want to destroy these materials and place dark oak planks connecting the two sides of the wall together. Then, directly behind this, we're going to destroy in the ground, fill it in with water, and one side we are going to add a spruce slab to, and the other side a hay bale. Coral fan above the non-hay bale side, and that looks absolutely perfect. So we are then just going to build a wall around this using dark oak planks. I think that we're going to make it a little bit smaller than the surrounding walls as well. So we'll kind of just make this stand out a little bit by adding some dark oak planks like this. And then we're just going to seal up this little area here with a 2x2 row of iron bars, and that's perfect. And we can put a villager or something else in there if you would like a little bit later, but they will make a lot of noise, so let's not do that quite yet. Now there is another alcove to make on the left side of this room. If we once again line up with the cauldron and destroy the row that coincides with the cauldron on the left side of the room from the floor to the ceiling. As a matter of fact, we don't even have to destroy up to the ceiling. We can leave this one row alone at the top and then destroy a row to the left and right of this. Then we are going to fill this back wall in with a mixture of bookshelves and looms. So the looms, of course, are just empty bookshelves just like this, and that looks perfect. It's up to you how much of each you want to place. We're going to destroy the floor, replace it with spruce planks. We can add a couple of item frames on the floor, place enchanted books in there, regular books. We can even apply this same level of detail to the actual shelves themselves if you like. I'm not going to do that. In the corner, I want to make a bat cage. So the bat cage is made using an oak trapdoor. This is just underneath this top left hand corner block. We're going to flip another trapdoor just directly off to the side of this, and then we want an oak trapdoor in front of this, and this will allow us to house a bat in here. It just seems like something witches would have, and by the way, we're not going to place the bat just yet because, well, it will once again make noise, but there will be a bat in here later, I promise. Also, feel free to stick a lectern and a book and quill in the corner if you do like. These next few decorations are kind of just to add to the ambience of the build. We can make a witch's broom by placing a hay bale with 2 lightning rods stacked on top of it, then swap the lower lightning rod for an opposite placed one, and we have a pretty cool witch's broom. I really like the idea of just having an enchanting table built into the floor in front of the cauldron. This looks like a book that the actual witches are reading from or casting from, and I like the enchanting table rather than a lectern built into the floor because we actually get the book following us, which just kind of adds to the vibe. What we can also add is a cat as well. So a cat, preferably a black one, but we will settle for a nice little grey cat here because, well, we here at the TSMC Minecraft channel may be a lot of things, but we are not cat murderers. Plus we have the same colour fur, which is a nice little coincidence. His eyes actually are also vaguely similar to my helmet, so I mean, what am I supposed to do, guys? Although my personal choice, a black cat would actually fit in here rather nicely, but what can you do? Speaking of adding to the ambience, glow lichen along the walls with the occasional cobweb placed more so towards inside the corners of like the cell, the bookcase, maybe even say like the corner of the front of the room. Some glow lichen kind of strategically placed around like near the bookshelves and the more important parts, so like here and kind of like here, maybe even one here. Like, you don't have to go crazy with it, but you know, it's hard to have too much. It kind of, I think that this is like a nice amount. Weeping vines are also a good decoration as well if you want to like swap some of the cobwebs out for that. This adds to kind of like a more spooky, kind of like creepier vibe than the cobwebs. Equally so, twisting vines also achieve a similar effect. We can finally add the bat to the bat cage. This has to be fast. Perfect. We will name him Bruce. Last but not least, let's place a villager. That is not a villager. Uh-oh. Guys, stay still. Take 2. Let's place a villager inside of the cage. And there we go, guys. We have absolutely nailed it. The perfect witch's lair. I hope that you guys have enjoyed this tutorial. Thank you so much for watching. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, click the little bell next to the subscription button. That will ensure that you get all my videos sent directly to your sub box. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you in the next one.